So here's the soldering method I'm using. First, the piece of copper needs just a little bit of solder at both ends. There we go. This is a piece of cardboard, and it's simply there to provide a prop for the chip so that it doesn't lean on the fire brick that I have here. Okay. The chip has a tiny chip carved out of its corner showing where the cathode is. So by heating one end, soldering happens at the other end. And let's check it. It's best to check it by touching the chip and making sure it's got a good connection there. Now I'm going to attach the wire. This is 30 gauge wire. It's actually a filament from a larger wire. But it needs to be very thin because we don't want to ever put any stress on this pad. It just needs to be touched, and there we go. Okay, trim it off. And we're all done. So here's how to assemble the string. I'm assembling these in strings of 10. This one has 9 so far. It's important to clamp onto the wires and the copper to prevent any heat from loosening the connection. So that's what I'm doing here. There we go. That's number 10 on this string. So the next thing is to test it. First, make sure that it's actually flat. That all the joints are able to take a little bit of stress. Okay. Now I have a power supply set to 30 volts exactly. 10 LEDs, 30 volts, that's 3 volts apiece, which is their rating. So here's the ground, here's the positive. And they work. Boy, do they ever work. Okay, so next, assemble them into chains and slide them into the tube. I don't think I'll have video of that, but should be straightforward. So it's bench test time. This is what I've built. Now I've taken a larger project box and sliced it up because I really only need these 4 sides actually, because the furniture is going to take up the other 2 sides. In other words, this is going to fit into a corner. This is the power line, and this is the feed line for the lights. And you can see that I've got the lights all mounted inside a plastic tube here. Okay, the switch is activated by pulling, and let's see, that's off, that's on, and I'm turning the knob now, and as you can see, it gets pretty bright. Turning it down a little bit here. So when checking this out, there's a 15 ohm resistor here. Now, by the way, I'm using shock protocol. That is, I only touch anything with one hand, and my other hand is kept on my lap or behind me so that I can't possibly create a full circuit with high voltage. That's an old habit, a very, very old habit. Anyway, turning this on full, you can see that it's got about 1.5 volts there, and that is a 15 ohm resistor. So Ohm's law says that if you want to know the current, it's equal to voltage divided by resistance. So 1.5 divided by 15 is 1/10. And so that means it's conducting about 1/10 of an amp, which is fine for these LEDs. They're rated up to 150 milliamps, and I don't want to push them that hard. They're going to be too hard to replace when they go bad. Let's see, one other thing we can look at, that is the total available voltage, which is at this location here. And that shows up right there, 158 volts. That's with it off. Fully loaded, it drops down about 4 volts. You can see that's purely just the load on the capacitor that's doing the filtering. So, next step is to mount this and see how it looks. Switching it off, and there we go. So, my next segment was to be demonstrating the light in action, but instead, we're back here. The string of lights broke due to being inside the plastic tubing. It turns out that that's not too smart to put something that delicate inside plastic tubing that's going to bend. So, I remember something I saw at our local Ace Hardware, and that's this right here. It's this is an unused one. Color corner guard, protector dongle, and this is a 4-foot piece, and it's apparently used to, I don't know, fit in the corner of a door sill or window or who knows what. Anyway, it's nice and clear, and it has 2 strips of adhesive here that you pull off the protective layer to expose the adhesive. And this is perfect because removing one of the layers, then we can take the light elements and just press them against the adhesive, and it holds them straight, and they're all nicely mounted like this. Then the next step is, of course, we have to have insulation. So this amber tape is Kapton tape. It's this stuff right here. Kapton is good for high temperature, high voltage, and it's got a silicone adhesive on it. This is a little expensive, but you can afford it. Well, it's a little hard to handle. We'll get it. There we go. Anyway. Cool stuff. Anyway, with the complete piece of tape across the whole strip, it's protected. And then a strip of electrical tape, black electrical tape, to act as an eye shade. So you can see how this is arranged. It's meant to be mounted on the underside of a piece of wood, so that the light is actually facing a little bit away from the viewer. And then by having the black tape, it acts as an eye shade, so I don't get direct glare. I'll show you how that worked out in a moment. Anyway, here is the unit in action. Turning it on, pull to turn on, and then, yay, it's pretty bright. And it's safe to handle. And now I'll just install it, and let's see if it works. So here is the piano bench project. Wooden bench covering the piano, and open it up like this, and I have a prop to set it, and there we go. So at the moment the music just sits on the keys. I need to figure out a way to position it properly, maybe with magnets or something. I'll figure out something interesting. Okay, so the light source is up here. There's my little black box, and it's controlled by the switch, which you just pull out, click, and there it is. You can see I'm going to turn the light amplitude way down so you can see the individual lights themselves, maybe. Yeah, there we go. This is lower than it would be set to actually use, but you can see the construction that way. Anyway, now turn it back up to, that's full power, about 15 watts, which is not much power consumption for the brightness overall. So let's see. Okay, well, I'll play something. Maybe a little bit of Bach or something. I don't know.